Went different. I went with Parts Avatar in Canada and ordered a wheel bearing for this car, and it arrived. Delivery was actually pretty speedy. So the Parts Avatar came all boxed up. We'll open it up and take a look. Seems to be wrapped up pretty good here. So it's right in here. Here we go. Now, first thing in the box is conditions for return. Look at this. And any questions? Oh, look, they give you an email for contact information. So returns at partsavatar.ca. All right, perfect. And a QR code as well. So that's a little lining of hope. Now, that's their shipping box, and here's the part box. Open that up. And everything seems to be well insulated. There's my wheel bearing. And there's all cardboard, but honeycomb cardboard at the bottom, the spacer at the top. Well protected. And here is what we're going to be replacing. There's the wheel bearing. Oh, very well oiled too. All right, we're going to get the car jacked up and video the process of putting this on. Before I take this wheel off, I'm going to show you how bad this wheel bearing is. So when you can take your tire, your rim, move it back and forth like that, and on the side like that, chances are your wheel bearing's shot. And when I'm doing that, I'm watching the whole brake rotor move with it. So we're going to pop this hubcap off. All right, and I believe that's a 17 mil. Yep, 17 mil socket. Oh, I got a short one here, already on here. And we're going to just snap that wheel off. I'll just grab my wheel studs, put them over by the jack stand so I don't lose them. And we'll put this out of the way. And as you can see, I've already changed the axle, so it's got a new nut on here. So I'm going to go ahead and take that off. Now, I do not have the metric size for that, but 1.25 inches fits that nut really good. So we're just going to go ahead and use 1.25 inches. And that came off real easy because I just put it on not that long ago. All right, next we're going to steer this out this way, and we're going to take off this whole brake caliper assembly now. And now I can get at this bolt here and this bolt here, and I believe those are 15s. Let's check. Maybe they're a little bigger than 15. Oh yeah, they're bigger. Okay, 17. Okay, that's a 5/8. Well, 5/8 fits it. Does the 17 fit it? 17 is loose. There's one. And another one on the bottom. And there we go. 2 bolts, and your brake assembly is now out of the way, just like that. So what we're going to do is get something. I'm going to tie this up to the spring just so that we're not stressing out the hoses or the wires. Cut off a little piece of mechanics wire. So we're going to okay, that brake assembly is supported and out of the way. Next, you can see here we got a torque screw that holds the rotor onto the hub. Here's a T50. Look at that, fits right in. Spin. Yeah, that might be a problem. Oh, there we go. I was able to break it free. Okay, now we can take the rotor off, and this is the bearing that we got to replace. Now I got to get the shaft to let go of the bearing. Okay, I don't want to hit right on the metal, so I got a wooden block here. I'm just going to try hitting on the block. And you can see that the axle is now free of the wheel bearing. Now to get the wheel bearing out, it looks like it's a 13 mil. Okay, 13 mil. I can see the threads here. Okay, you can see the threads. These are the bolts that hold this wheel bearing on. So I'm just going to give them a little bit of shot of WD-40. Hopefully help with the removal. Okay. Have the impact. And this should fit in here. And hopefully I can get that off without hurting the boot on the new axle. Yeah. Okay, there's one. And 4 for 4. So now this bearing is unbolted. Now we just got to break it free. So I got my encouragement tool to see if I can. It's seized on there pretty good. You can see all in there. It's been on, it's probably the original. And this being a 2004, and this is now 2025. So let's keep working at it. See if we can break that free. And there we go. So this wheel bearing, this shim came out of here. Okay? Now you can see the play in that bearing. So we know that was a problem. All right, that's the old one done. Now what we got to do is move this axle a bit. I'm going to clean up this surface area in here. All that rust in here, it's got to be all cleaned up to receive the new one. Be careful with this here. That's your speed sensor, and you don't want to scuff that. So we're just going to sand down this stuff here. Okay, let's get to it. Okay, so we're just gonna, I got a couple of pieces of sandpaper here. One's 120 grit and the other one's 80 grit. We're just gonna go around this lip of this thing and see if we can get rid of the rust. Okay, we'll get a little bit of cleaner on there and see how that looks. Brake cleaner to clean all the dust off of this. But before I do, I'm going to take one of these claws and I'm going to wrap it around the boot of this axle, because I'm not too sure what the brake cleaner will do to the rubber. So we'll just protect the rubber. Okay. There we go. All right, so you can see we got a lot of that rust off. It's nice and smooth to the touch now. It's not perfect, but the idea of getting the rust off is when you put the new piece in, it's going to slide in a little bit easier. And when you torque it all up, you're not going to have all this surface rust crunching as you snug it up to its torque specifications. Because if you torque it up and then driving on it and that rust crumbles, it creates more free space and then all of a sudden it's loose. So you want to make sure you clean any debris or rust off to avoid that from happening. All right, let's go get the new part and see if it goes on. You'll notice the bolt pattern. These two are closer together, these two are wider apart. So match it up and you won't have problems. These two are closer together, these two are wide apart. We put it on this way. So we'll get the axle to slide in. Okay. And it looks like a perfect fit. Look at that. Okay. We get our 4 bolts. Now, what I'll do is get a torque wrench and we'll torque these up to specs. The bolts that hold this hub on, you got to torque that up to 20 nanometers until it clicks, and then you give it another 90-degree turn, so a quarter turn, to seat it. So let's get this in. Okay, there's 20 nanometers. Now I got to give this another 90 degrees or quarter turn. So we're gonna eyeball there. That's not even close. And a little bit more. There we go. That one's done. Now let's get this one. Okay, there's 20 nanometers there. Now another quarter turn. 16. Another 16. And there we go. Boy, when it bottoms out at that 90 degrees, it bottoms out. Now let's turn this wheel this way so we can get at the other side. Okay, so we have our new hub all secured on. And there's no play, so that's good. Thank you, Parts Avatar. Now, let's straighten this wheel out. And we will the rotor on, put the brake assembly on, and then I can hold the rotor still while I torque up this nut. Straighten the wheel out, and we'll line up the holes, making sure this one lines up here. Look at that, that's a perfect fit. Okay, so this is our screw that holds the rotor in place. There we go. That's in place. Now we can put our rotor back on, or our caliper assembly. Get rid of the Kang's wire. Take this and slide it over. Like that. Oh! Don't do what I just did. There. Goes in there, and I need my 2 bolts that hold the rotor assembly on. These 2 bolts hold the rotor, or not the rotor, sorry, the caliper support bracket. Okay, I got a deep 17. Will that get me past the hoses? Yeah, barely. Okay. So these have to torque down 81 foot-pounds rather. Just a minute. That's one. You're on video.
Oh, I just went like this, and not. What do you call it? That toolbox that I got.
There. This nut goes on next, the axle nut. Okay. Like that. Yeah. Oh, maybe since the other wheel's on the ground, it's going to hold it for me. Okay, there we go, 134 foot-pounds. All right, and now I got to punch this in So that groove, I'm going to punch this lip in so it kind of locks into that T hole. Okay, so that's punched in. That nut cannot back off now. Next, we'll just put the wheel back on. And then we should be done. And we're on. I'll pop this sucker back on. Now when you're putting these hubcaps on, it's got a little notch, a little curved thing here, and it fits right in there. Well, we'll get that in there, and then that just pops right on. Now, moment of truth. Okay, I do not have that flop anymore. She's done. That is the installation of a wheel bearing.